Come and experience God for yourself. Jesus.
Your children shall be blessed, and hear a loud amen. Your miracle will come fast.
Hello guys, welcome to Learn Chess with the Chess Doctor on Coal City TV. So if you've not been part of my lectures, like you've been missing out. I've practically been carrying you through the journey of chess from completely as like if you don't have an idea about chess, then I've been guiding you all the way around to this moment. And it will hurt me so badly if really you've not been following my show. It will be so nice, right? So I'll definitely review some questions, but not today, okay? For today, we're going to be having principles of chess opening. But before that, we had a recap. We talked about chess notations in the last lecture and chess terminologies. I tried explaining the terminology check, checkmate, and stalemate. Okay, we talked about all of this extensively in the last class. If you missed it, then you missed a lot. You should please just do well to watch lecture 2 before watching lecture 3. Okay, so for today, we're having principles of chess opening. But before we go into principles of chess opening, we're going to talk about how to set the board. You know, chess is practically a game of war, right? So you need to prepare your men before you start the war, right? So we're going to talk about it. And then I promise to give you some tips and lessons chess gets to teach you that you can apply in your business, you know, entrepreneurial aspect of chess. So we're going to talk briefly about that. So we have 3 things to talk about today, and it'll be nice for you to join me throughout this journey. So let's get started. First, we need to arrange our chessboard, okay? So if you have a chessboard, definitely you will have numbers and alphabets on it. I always will tell you that for a standard board, but it's okay if you don't have a standard board, okay? As long as you can identify a dark square, usually on your, depending lower left, lower right, depending on where you're standing from anyway, but you should identify the dark square at the edge, okay? So when you get this should be your A1, okay? That's one. Now, secondly is, there are 2 aspects to this. I'm going to give you the simple one, and then I'll give you the poem to use and remember how to arrange the chessboard. So we're talking about arranging the board, okay? Looking at the alphabets A to H, I'll ask you a very simple one. What's the middle of this alphabet? Very simple question. What's the middle? Now, if you're not getting the middle alphabets between A to H, then you've missed plenty of things in the class. So. But all the same, the middle alphabet is D and E, as you can see, D and E, okay? So for D and E, usually, since the center, it has to be where the king and the queen will be. The most important piece and the strongest piece. They practically have to be together. That's one. Secondly, you're seeing 1 and 2. So usually, I'll tell you 1 and 2 is for the light pieces. It means if you have white should be arranged on 1 and 2, while 7 and 8 will be black. It means if you have black and red will be 1 and 2, then 7 and 8 will be black. Okay, so the darker pieces, or the pieces that tend to be black in quotes in your game, must take 7 and 8, and then the light pieces will have to take 1 and 2. Okay, so if we've agreed with that, and we've agreed that the center of these files, file A to H, is D and E, then we are good to go. So first on the list is the strongest and the most important piece. Usually I'll tell you the letter D must always be for the queen. Okay, the queen must always be on D. Okay, and remember I told you 7 and 8 is for black, 1 and 2 is for the light pieces. So we're going to be putting D here, and E is going to take the king. Same thing applies for this. Okay, dark square, you can see the dark square here, D, on the queen, and then you can see D2 here for the queen too. So it's all left for you to decide which way you want it, okay, depending on what you have on your board. Now, next, we use alphabetical order away from the king and the queen. Alphabetical order. So, looking at all the chess pieces, remember we have now we're talking about the double pieces, okay? We've put the single pieces, okay? So, we have to put the double pieces, 3-3, 3-3, okay? So, now the double pieces, we have the king, the rook, we have the knight, we have the bishop, okay? We have 3 double pieces, remember, for each player, okay? So, now, alphabetical order. Which one comes first? It has to be letter B, which is the bishop, BB. So you're going to place the bishops first, okay? Okay, let's do this first. Let's use the black piece. Okay, let's just set one of the boards first. So we're going to place the bishops first. Okay, so if we've done that, after B, what alphabet follows suit? Remember, ninth, okay, which is an N. or a K, depending. Remember, we talked about the fact that knight is spelled K-N-I-G-H-T. But when you're doing chess notation, because the king takes K first, then the knight has to take an N. So whichever one you decide, whether it's K or N, you decide to go with, knight has to follow suit, okay? And the knight is what looks like a horse, right? So we're going to be placing the knight here. And then lastly, the last double piece on the loose is the rook. Good. And then the next thing to do is the octuple piece. And what's the octuple piece? The octuple piece we have usually is the pawn, okay? And it's 8 in number. So each of these pieces is going to get a free pawn, just like this. And this is how you get your board ready for the game, okay? So we can do the same thing for white or red, depending on what you have, okay? The bishop BB first, then the knight goes next, and then lastly your rook. Are we together? And then our octuple piece will definitely continue. We put our octuple piece this way, okay? Beautiful. So our chessboard is ready to be used. Okay, so this is the first way to actually arrange your chessboard for the game of chess before you start. But I'm going to give you a trick. I will teach you a song you can use. Usually this is what I use for students. When you see kids, you need to give them something they can recite and repeat often so that it's easier for them to remember. So what I use is a 2-verse song. Okay, the first verse is rook, knight, bishop, and then pawns in front. Okay, rook, knight, bishop, pawns in front. Light queen on light square, dark queen on dark square. That's the second verse. Rook, knight, bishop, pawns in front. Light queen on light square, dark queen on dark square. Okay, so if we've gotten to this point, I think I definitely giving you the poem to use, giving you the real strategy and mindset behind it. In fact, I even had to tell a story. Most of I even tell stories about how these pieces come about. And usually I'll tell it start with a kingdom where the castle, when you hear castle, thinking about the gate to a kingdom, something like that. That's why the rooks are at the edges. And then, you know, when you talk about knights in shiny armor, when the warriors in those ancient moments, ancient days, the warriors are always on horses, so they have to stay beside the knights, they stay beside the castle gates to protect the kingdom, okay? And then I always give this little twist that there was a birth defect with the bishop. Okay, that's why it has a slit at the head. And so because of this birth defect, they felt like the bishop doesn't have to stay so far away from mommy and daddy. They had to bring the bishop close. Do you understand it? And then in the midst of all of this, they had to assign a foot soldier to every of them. And that's how the pawns came around. So usually I try to tell stories, give you a poem, just something, because this is the first basis of playing chess. If you can't arrange a board, then there's a problem. People make mistakes. Common mistakes I get to see is one, people can intertwine this like this. This is wrong. So that's why I bring up the story of using the alphabet for you to know. Okay, so this is wrong. This is ideally how it should be. Common mistakes I get is because of people that recite this on rook, knight, bishop. They start from here. You now hear them rook, knight, bishop. This is also wrong. This is another common mistake I get to see from students. Okay, so just know that if you're singing rook, knight, bishop, it's from outside towards the king and the queen. And if you're using alphabetical order, it's from the king outwards, outboard. Are we together? So if we've gotten to this point, it means you're ready to play chess. You're very much ready to play chess. And we'll do that right after the break. Stay with me. Welcome back. Okay. So we've been talking about using the chessboard, and we've done that. So please, if you missed it, just go back and watch it, okay? But whichever way, if you have questions, feel free to drop in the comment section. I'll be right here to answer every question you have. Okay, so before then, let's continue with our classes. So chess basically has 3 different phases. We have the opening, the middle game, and the end game phase. There are 3 different phases of the game of chess. Okay, so usually this is where it gets really complicating. I'm going to teach you so you don't play sentimental chess. And it's okay if before now you know the movements of the pieces and all of that, but you don't know what piece to move. Why do I move this piece? It's okay. So it means we've come to the point where you have to be totally engrossed, especially if you've already mastered the movement of the chess pieces. Okay, so I'm going to teach you today principles of chess opening, the first phase of the game of chess. And principles of chess opening, the first principle is control the center of the board. You're going to war. You want to fight war from the edge of the board. Is who is in the center has access to all over kingdom, both my kingdom and your kingdom. Okay? So if you're controlling the center of this board, we have e4, e5, d4, d5. The 4 squares are actually the center of this chessboard. Of the chessboard, you even have 2. Okay, so how do I control the center? There are ways. I have to devise ways. There's direct and there's indirect. Okay, so let's do the direct way of controlling the center. And yes, white must always start the game of chess. I don't know why. Okay, but whatever reason it is, I know that white has to start. So for this, since we don't have white, we have red. So red has to start first. And I'm insisting on controlling the center. So controlling the center is, I can do this direct. So now, remember, pawns move forward, ever, backward, never. 2 steps if they want to in the beginning, or 1 step, and 1 step afterwards, or 1 step, depending anyway. Okay, so the pawn moves e4, 2 steps forward, right? So as it has done this, it's directly controlling the e4 square. Directly means no piece can come into the e4 because it's inside already. And in chess, no piece comes, 2 pieces don't stay on 1 square. Okay, so e4, it's controlling e4 square directly and controlling the d5 square indirectly. Okay, remember my problem is these 4 center squares. So this move actually gives you control of this directly and this indirectly. Some persons, okay, might want to play passively and do this, just controlling the d4 square indirectly, which is not so good. Control the center as much. Don't just play so passive, okay? Control the center as much as possible. So when you do this, the direct response of which I'm teaching you is what you should play as a beginner, especially if this is your first time, if you'll be following me with the chess classes and this is your first time of playing chess. Okay, I think if you do this, you're going to be on the safe side. Yes, okay, so the response for this is going to be e5. What's it doing? We are in center. And you're holding 2 squares, 1 directly, 1 indirectly. I'm holding 2, 1 directly, 1 indirectly. We are contending for the center. Okay, so next is to develop your pieces. Second principle. Develop your pieces. Now, I watch some persons' games and, you see them, they keep pushing pawns, doing a lot of funny things with pawns and all of that. It's okay, but for beginners, it's not a good deal for you if this is your first time of playing chess. The whole point is control the center, develop your pieces. As a first time, I would even advise to develop your knight before your bishop. Don't go into so much principles. Okay, develop your knight before your bishop. So, next is going to be this, okay? I can also do this. Doing this now means I'm placing an attack on e5, the pawn on e5, right? So black might want to respond, and the response black might want to give could be with the knight too, also contending for this. Meaning if I capture with the L, 1, 2, 3, and shift, he can capture with his own 1, 2, 3, and shift. I hope you're still following. Remember the movement of the knight, the L shape, right? So I can do this and still hold this. Black is doing this to hold this. White can go on to release the knight, the second knight, and black can do the same thing. This is called the 4 knights opening. Okay? Now it can transpose to different openings, Royal Lopez, you name it, a lot of openings anyway, but I'll just give you the basics. I don't like my students learning just the names and particular openings. Reason being that there are over millions of openings and you can't learn all. You don't know what they're going to play on you, okay? But if you understand the principles, control your center, develop your pieces, we are safe, okay? So learn the principles, don't just learn the moves. Learn the reason behind every move I make, okay? So we'll continue. So at this point, the 4 knights are out already. So it's time to develop my bishops, okay? So next move is, white can decide to do this. This is a viable move, move 1. White can decide to do this. This is also a viable move to do this, okay? So, but since it's white, let's try. White will want to do this. Okay. So now, looking at this, okay, as a black player, if white succeeds in, let's say black is ignorant and doesn't see the threat. I want to open your eyes to the possibilities of things that happen on board with this position. If you just play carelessly. Remember, we talked about decision. So you can make the wrong decision here and then the game starts turning upside down already. Okay, so let's assume after this, black makes the mistake, which most beginner chess players, I made the mistake myself, okay? Beginner chess players most times will make the mistake of, I want to pursue you. I want to send you back home, okay? Something of that sort. And this is a blunder. A very, very big blunder because you're eventually going to lose a piece. Let me show you what it means. If I use this, since you're threatening me, I can use this to capture this. Okay, I've taken a knight, right? And then let's say you use your pawn to capture back, Abi, like this. Okay, I can use this L1, 2, 3 and shift and capture this. So you see what I'm saying? And now it's not like it's not playable, don't get me wrong, it's playable, right? But as a beginner, you want to start putting yourself into all these very funny things. That's why I try to teach you what to expect. Okay? And already black has a double pawn, you know, the game is already going where it's not supposed to be. Okay, so let's just assume that as black you saw this threat, that there's a weak piece here. You saw this threat, that capturing this will make this a weak piece, right? So because of that, you decide to push this pawn forward so you can still hold this in case there's a capture, right? So at this point, white might decide to castle. Now we talked about castling at first. Castling is a principle that brings us to the third principle, right? Where you want to keep your king safe. Remember, this whole game and fight is with the board. We are struggling to see what's happening at the center. We want to break even from the center, and the king and queen are kept at the center, which is not very good. So we're looking for a way to see. Castling was developed as a strategy to take the king away from the center of the board, okay, to one corner so that the king can be safe. Okay, so for you to be able to castle, one, you must not have moved both your king and your rook before. That's one. Secondly, is that there is sufficient space, meaning there's no piece. Both the bishop and the knight is out of the square. Okay, and thirdly, you're not under the line of attack. Okay, so with these three principles, if you're able to clear these three principles, then you can go ahead and castle. And to castle, usually I'll tell you, don't touch the rook first. Because if you do this, this is one move. Remember, rooks move horizontally, right? That's horizontally and vertically. That's on the ranks and on the file. So if you move the rook first, this is a move. This is wrong. If you want to castle, always hold your king first. And it's simple. 1, 2, and then you take your rook and you bring it back to this place. Okay, so it's getting very confusing, and I understand. So feel free to drop your questions. It's okay. I will definitely attend to all of them. And then you can rewatch the video to understand what I meant by castling, okay? So at this point, white will decide to castle, and black can develop this bishop so he can also castle. Are we getting that? And then white still has a bishop at home. So white can decide, okay, let me release this so that I can release my bishop out. And with that, black definitely gets to castle. Now, at this point, white can do this, bring out the bishop, just to keep developing and control. You can even do this because you're trying to control the center. Okay, you can try to do this. There's a lot of things that can play, but important thing is that just develop the bishop first, okay? So with this, then white can do this, okay? And this should be the next move. Or even if you don't decide to do this, you can do this. Okay, white can do that, and black can decide to maybe start an attack at this moment. Okay, now you observe that before you start an attack, first you must have developed all your pieces. You must have castled, because it doesn't make sense you want to go and fight and you're not sure that your house is secured. The aim of chess is not really to capture a lot of pieces. The aim of chess, ideally, is actually to checkmate, trap the king. Even if you have 500 pieces on board and I have, okay, let's say you have 16 pieces on board and I have just 2, but I used my 2 to checkmate you. What are we? I still get to win the game on board. Okay, so middle game starts the moment the rooks are connected. Sometimes the 2 rooks doesn't have to be connected. Like these 2 rooks are not connected. There's a queen here, but it's okay. We've entered the middle game at this phase. The important thing is that the king has been out of the center. Okay, so for middle game, we're going to talk about that extensively next week, but let me give you a little tip of it. We are going to talk about the worth of pieces when you exchange in trading your pieces. Because now, once we finish the opening, we enter the middle game, you start trading. You start making decisions of, should I let this go? Should I take this one? And all of that. So when you want to trade pieces, just know the worth in your head. So for the rook is worth 5 pieces, 5 points, 5 pawns, 5 naira, $5, whatever you decide to put it, but it's worth 5, okay? Then the knight is worth 3. The bishop is worth 3.5. The queen is worth 9. And the king is inestimable. Remember, the king is the aim of the game. It doesn't ever leave the board. Either is to checkmate the king, trap the king. Okay, so I'll take it. And then the pawns is worth 1 naira, $1, whatever you want it. Okay, so basically the cheapest or the commonest piece that can be gone on the board is the pawn. And then the most expensive or the most, the stronger piece, definitely, you know what I'm saying? The strongest piece is actually the queen. So if you have this at the your mind, it will be very easy for you to actually get to trade pieces carefully. Are we together? I think that's all for the opening, principles of openings. Just a quick recap, 3 principles basically for now. The 3 main principles: develop your pieces, control your center, develop your pieces, and castle. I added a little twitch with it, develop your knights before your bishops. Added on that twitch, connect your rooks. Okay, so that is for the opening, and we'll talk about middle game in the next section. But before then, before I call it a day, let me give you some tips about the game of chess that can help you in your business. I'll be right back. So welcome back. Thanks for joining us back again. And we've had a long day already. So if you're just joining me, then you have to go watch the video back. Okay. So at this moment, we're going to be talking about the chess skills you can apply in your business. Okay. So first on my list is gambits. Okay. So over time, you're going to learn more about gambits. Okay. Gambit, what's gambit? It's something that appears to be free, but it's not. It just gives you instant gratification of which you're going to pay future about it, right? And this is something you can use in your business, okay? Sometimes you just give to get more closer, okay? How do you apply it in your business? Okay, so it could just be a free token. Someone coming to your shop and then you're giving the person a pen that is carrying your branded details or whatever. It could not even be a pen. It could just be something that looks like, appears to be a discount, okay, of which is going to definitely lure the person to come back next time. So definitely gambit, you're giving something little to get something more. It might not be immediate, it might be later. Most times it's later, it's never immediate. Okay, so that's the first trick you learn from chess you can apply in your business. I'll give you another one again. So this is the game. Okay? In chess, usually there's always time, it's time bound. A standard tournament is roughly 3 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes for each player. Okay, so and in that 1 hour, 30 minutes, you're expected to make both short-term goals, long-term goals, make every plan all of a sudden on the board, okay, and implement them basically, okay, in the midst of, because you're making plans, your opponent is also making his own plans, trying to antagonize yours if he's able to say it, okay, so it just gives you that aspect of how you need to be smart, play about opportunities, and same thing in your business, okay, so you're working on, definitely you should have goals, long-term goals, short-term goals, things you want to achieve from your brand or from your business, and also, as you're planning it, you definitely know that both the economy, both this, everything is practically working against you to make it difficult for you to achieve. But what you have to do is just have a way around navigating it. You know, just there should be a way around navigating it and getting a result eventually. Okay, so that's going to give you the skill of perseverance and the time game. Okay, seizing opportunities. Also, I think I have to add it on the time too, because you can be playing and then you're going to see an opportunity to get a pin, a skewer, you name it. We'll talk about that more in middle games. And it comes once, you know. It's one thing for your opponents to make a mistake on board. It's another thing for you that is playing to see the mistake. It's also another thing to know how to punish the mistake. Okay? Same thing in business. You can see an opportunity. You might not even identify as an opportunity. You can see the opportunity and identify as an opportunity. You can still see the opportunity, identify as an opportunity, and not know how to use it, okay? So there are 3 different things. So it's going to be beautiful if you can be able to put yourself into these pictures and learn to identify opportunities, know how to use it, and know when it's an opportunity, okay? So there's so much you can learn with the game of chess, but I think I'll hold it here with these 2 or 3 I've mentioned. Feel free to ask your questions in the comment section. I'm always going to be answering any of them. Please follow me on social media. My accounts are on the screen. Until I come your way again, I'm still Dr. Jovita, your chess doctor. I hope to see you guys next week, same time, same station. Until then, enjoy chess as you enjoy life. See you guys.